Dear students of class 12, Assalamu alaikum. Today I am going to cover unit 15 of English for Today, which is Path to Higher Education. And I am going to start with lesson 1, which is named An Eastern University. It is written by Rabindranath Tagore. And let me discuss first about Tagore, then we will go into the lesson. Okay, so all of you know that Rabindranath Tagore, he was a multi-talented personality with a great desire to learn new things. He was a poet, a short story writer, uh, and song composer, playwright, philosopher, painter, and a social reformer. He was born in a rich Brahmin family on 7th May 1861 at Thakurbari, which is in Jorashako of Kolkata. We know that he reshaped Bangla literature and music as well as Indian art with contextual modernism. He is the author of the profoundly sensitive, fresh, and beautiful verse of Gitanjali, for which he received Nobel Prize for Literature in 1913. He was actually the first non-European and the first lyricist to receive the Nobel Prize. In his childhood, he was taught classical music at home, and he, in fact, he used to swim in the Ganges. He learned gymnastics. He practiced judo and wrestling. He learned drawing, anatomy, geography, history, literature, mathematics, Sanskrit, and English. His traditional education began in Brighton, East Sussex, England, at a public school. In 1878, he went to England to become a barrister to fulfill his father's wish. He joined University College in London to learn law, but later he dropped this. And then he learned various works of Shakespeare on his own. He learned the essence of English, Irish, Scottish literature and music. He was highly influential in introducing Indian culture to the West and vice versa. He is regarded as the outstanding creative artist of early 20th century India. Tagore aimed to bring learning process closer to nature as opposed to the strict rote learning of British schools. With this aim, he established Shanti Niketan on 22nd December 1901, which was originally named Brahmacharya Ashram in the tradition of ancient forest hermitage. It started with only 5 students, you will be surprised to know. And it grew into Vishwabharati University in in 1921, and the date was, to be precise, December 23, and it attracted some of the most creative minds in the country. And now I would like to say a few words about this Vishwabharati University. You will be surprised that the classes are still held in the open under the shade of huge mango trees. And students and tutors alike still travel by cycles to keep pollution at bay. The old buildings made up of mud walls and thatched roofs are still intact. Some are preserved for historical value, others are still functional in all aspects. And Poush Mela, Holi, Raksha Bandhan, all are celebrated by the students, locals, and staffs on the campus here. Tagore visualized it as a seat of learning, and his vision was carried forward by Gandhiji and Jawaharlal Nehru. He believed that every person is genius and that all students may not bloom at the same time. That is why he allowed students to continue their course till the student and his teacher both are satisfied. Here we have, I was talking about this Vishwabharati or Shanti Niketan. Here you will be, you will come to know that there are so many separate buildings. Okay, so the first one I should mention is Robindra Bhavan, which is actually the Institute of Tagore Studies and Research. Then there is China Bhavan, where Chinese language and culture is practiced. Then there are Hindi Bhavan, Nippon Bhavan, where Japanese uh, Buddhism and language are practiced. Then there is also a Bhavan named Bangladesh, where we have found out that it is actually a zone which tells about undivided Bengal, and then it also has chronicled phases of language movement. Then it has a section for liberation wars, and then it has also a section for Tagore when he was in Bangladesh, and it has got the largest auditorium in the university of 450 seats. Then there are also Kala Bhavan, Shangit Bhavan, Shiksha Bhavan, and then other. Shiksha Bhavan is actually it's the Institute of Science, Biotechnology, Botany, Chemistry, Computer and System Science, Environmental Studies, Maths, Physics, Integrated Science, etc. Then also there are Vidya Bhavans, okay, which homes Institute of Humanities and Social Science, Indian History and Culture, Archaeology, Comparative Religion, etc. And there are other courses, certificate courses on different languages, say Arabic, Assamese, Bangla, Chinese, French, German, Hindi, Italian, Japanese, Marathi, and then others, say Persian, Russian, Sanskrit, Tamil, Santal, Tibetan, Urdu, etc. There are also Center for Modern European Language, Literature and Culture. Then there are others, say Institute of Education, Agricultural Science, Rural Construction. So it's a vast seat of learning, I should say. So with this introduction, I think we can get into the lesson of the lesson that is there in our uh, English for today. Let us see. Let me open the book that will be helpful. It's quite a interesting one, and here we get the philosophy of Rabindranath Tagore, how he visualizes or how he sees education itself. Okay, so I will just go part by part, say the first paragraph. I will just give you the gist of it, and it will be easier for you to understand. I'm sure all of you will be going through the lesson, but my uh, discussion, I should say, it will help you in understanding this somewhat complex lesson. Okay, so in the first paragraph, we understand that Tagore had an aversion towards formal learning. He believed that universities should not act as machines for acquiring and imparting knowledge. Uh, and there was no university in India, he thought, where a student could get the best products of the Indian mind. He thought that in universities there was foolish display of foreign education plans by lowering intellectual self-respect and ignoring Indian culture and aristocracy, which Tagore says as decoration composed of borrowed feathers. He thought that the role of teachers should not be to explain only, uh, they must knock at the doors of the mind of the students. This is very important. Okay, this I also believe in this. Then in the second paragraph, he explains that um, Indian education brings humiliation in the sense that it runs after external success. It lures of material benefits or better jobs. Moreover, education has become exam oriented, he thought, where culture has been thrust aside. This is what he goes on explaining, that education has become exam oriented and culture has been put away. That is why he gives the opinion that educated community has become a community of qualified candidates, not a cultured community. In the third paragraph, he makes it clear that this education goes on promising of an ultimate reward which gets more importance than knowledge itself. Okay, say in Bangla, we often say that গাড়ি ঘোড়া পড়ালেখা করে যে গাড়ি ঘোড়া চড়ে সে, হ্যাঁ, এই ধরনের certain things we get here, or in English it is always said that knowledge is power. So he gives the opinion that this ultimate reward gets more importance than knowledge itself. Our schools, he thinks that it is, these are all his opinion. Okay, so again and again I must say that these are not something which say I am saying, but this is Tagore's version, what he believes, what he thinks. So I am saying in this way that he says that our schools make the students believe that they are not fit to produce anything. They must borrow everything from abroad. And he strongly advises, that is Tagore, he strongly advises that uh, mm, we should not borrow education policy from European countries. Uh, mm, uh, we cannot implement them because of having different environment. And he also gives the opinion that if we develop our education system with our own thoughts, beliefs, and heritage, that will be fruitful and everlasting. Then in the fourth paragraph, Tagore says that in Europe, the learners remain in constant touch with great personalities of past and present. Their knowledge, that is, he meant the young learners' knowledge, has been compared to still or motionless pool or lake which gets refreshed by rainwater. That is, the ideas or knowledge of great minds. He regrets that unfortunately in India, all the furniture of European university are there, but not the human teacher. In the fifth paragraph, that is the second last one, Tagore emphasizes that a teacher should be knowledgeable. Like a lamp, he must remove the darkness of ignorance. He has to stimulate the creative minds of the students. That is the teacher. The teacher has to stimulate the creative minds of the students, and a teacher must not give information only which will burden the young minds. Teachers must motivate and inspire the young learners. And lastly, Tagore, he draws, draws the portrait of an ideal university. He says uh, it should discover truth. That is, a university should discover truth, and student and teacher both will work together for attaining this goal. The university will create an appropriate environment, and student and teacher, they will learn through cooperation. He also says that education is not merely knowledge of subjects, rather it's a creative art where the seeker blends his spirit, his skill, and his devotion.